So do you want to start off heavy or start off light?
Start off heavy.
So last week we were having a conversation about people in regards to training, but kind of more specifically weightlifting in some ways.
Yeah.
You may remember such conversations.
I think it was very specifically weightlifting.
So we were kind of talking about it. If you didn't see it, you don't need to go back and watch that shit. So the main gist of the story is that people aren't really all in on weightlifting. They're not really in a position where they're honest with what's happening. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, weightlifting is a very, very hard sport to progress at. It's quite easy to do in general, but if you actually want to get better relative to yourself and relative to everyone, I'm going to say training-wise, it's one of the hardest sports to do compared to a lot of other sports. It's very, very difficult. The problem, I think, to distill it down further, so we were talking about people doing weightlifting and getting kind of upset at the results, and this is not even talking about our clients in particular. I'm talking about just having known quite literally thousands of different people who've done weightlifting, and almost being like, what? It's been 2 years since I hit a PB. Why didn't this block go okay? So we were talking about people not really being committed or being honest with themselves, and then not getting the results they want, but then also not committing as much as they should be to get the results they want. But I think if you distill it down further, I think what's probably happened to a lot of those individuals is their what we used to call UAS, or early or late onset of adult athleticism. And that's fine if you're starting off something like jiu-jitsu or tennis or badminton or golf. They're pretty nice sports to do if everyone else is kind of relative to you. But unfortunately, weights are not relative to you. They're always the same weight. And I think what's kind of happening is people are doing it as a hobby and expecting results in the same amount of effort you'd get from a hobby. But unfortunately, weightlifting for the elite athlete is basically the same process as weightlifting for the amateur athlete. There's not a whole lot of difference. The weights are obviously different, but the pattern of progression is the same thing. And we've seen, because we've been seeing weightlifting for a long time, probably between us, I think we said it's about 30 years of like coaching and being involved and stuff. And you'll see people make a decision where they give up weightlifting. Not give up strength training or sports. They're just like, I'm
done.
And sometimes they'll be like, I'm just taking a break from weightlifting. And very often they don't come back after the break. And I think it's because people don't understand just how hard it is to get better at weightlifting, even to yourself. You've people snatching 85 kilos for 5 years. And they're like, do you think I could ever snatch 100? I'm like, you could snatch 100, but you could probably snatch 100 in 3 months, 4 or 5 months, if you got after it. But I think, unfortunately, and it's not a bad reflection on those people. I'm not like, they're losers. They need to fucking carry the boats. They need to do bed earlier, break up with your wife. I really don't think they should be doing that. In fact, I'm very happy for people when they actually do choose to give up weightlifting in some fashion, because they're clearly, it's not making them happy. And I think the problem is weightlifting might be your hobby, but unfortunately it's similar to mountaineering, something that's really difficult. And once you get to a certain level of peaks, ultimately the peak is going to stay the same height forever and the same difficulty. And just because you're recreational doesn't mean it's going to get any easier for you. And obviously there's some parts of mountaineering that don't take the analogy too far.
The other big problem, I definitely agree with that. I think people spend so much time not getting better at weightlifting. And obviously that in itself is massively problematic, in the fact that you identify as a weightlifter, yet you've been the same at weightlifting for the last 4 years or whatever it is, or you're not really getting better, or maybe you did a great training block 3 years ago and you've never gotten back there because you hurt your knees during it or whatever. I think another massive problem with weightlifting as an amateur sport is weightlifting gives you almost nothing. It gives you challenge. Like, it gives you that thing. It gives you can be as neurotic as you want about it. You can control all the variables, but it really doesn't give you anything. Like, if you take golf. Golf, you're outdoors. You're normally playing golf with other people, so you've some sort of social outlet there. Maybe it's more physical activity than you've been doing, and it's just 4 hours where you have to walk the course or whatever. And most of the time people have positive connotations about going out for golf. Like, if you go out and you've golfed this weekend, you go out, you'll have a positive interaction with golf. Most weightlifting is negative interactions.
Yeah, sure. It sure is, buddy.
Even if you really love, like, if you're in like the glory days of weightlifting, It's sore. It's difficult. If you want to get better, it's just a lot of time. It's a lot of time on your own. Like a lot of people who listen to this aren't training in a big weightlifting club where they have a great team around them. A lot of people are sludging away in their own sheds or in a normal gym where they're the only weightlifter, and it's really difficult. And then the other harder part of weightlifting, in my opinion, is that not only does it give you no real social outlet or probably doesn't really increase the amount of athleticism you have, doesn't make you look any better, and really doesn't make you that much stronger. You know, like if you spent if you've been stuck on whatever, I don't want to put a number on it because then it sounds like we're belittling somebody's 80 kilo snatch, but whatever snatch number you're at, you've been stuck there, let's say for 2 years. If you did 2 years of putting the same mental energy and same level of commitment into bodybuilding or getting a big squat, you could be in great shape now, or you could have a very respectable squat.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing with weightlifting is it's so difficult. Technically, it's so hard, and it demands so much of you. You don't really get a massive amount of other stuff from it.
I think one of the things that I like to use, especially when we're at seminars or coaching people or whatever, or if people ask a question about progression in weightlifting or if they think they could be good or stuff, I'd like to put in perspective, like, it took me 7 years to figure out how to snatch. And by that stage, I'd snatched 151 kilos. So that is hopefully a bit of a perspective giver. Yeah. The other thing, though, I think this is both overarchingly really positive, but it's also a bit of a kick up the arse to some people. I've only seen one athlete in the last 14 years, 15 years, I can't remember how exactly, where physically they were held back by their physicality. Their physiology was the thing that meant they couldn't progress. Every other athlete I've ever met, I've been like, you could add 20 kilos to each of those lifts if we went after this correctly. If you went after yourself. I don't know how much beyond that, but there's only ever one athlete, one person ever. And I tried really hard for a long time with that athlete. It's no one watching this. They'll never know. This was a very long time ago.
No.
And just for sake of argument, that person never did get beyond, actually regressed further. But that's by and by. That's only one athlete in I don't know how many thousands across multiple different sports. In every other weightlifter I've ever met, when they've asked a question or they've been stuck for years, I'm so confident that they could have progressed. I'm sure of it. I've seen it too many times in the opposite direction where I'm pretty confident that if betting I wouldn't be wrong, that where you are now, you can definitely keep progressing. People, every time we do a Q&A, every time we do a live stream, every time I put up a text box on Instagram and ask me a question, someone will be like, give me an age so I'm not picking on someone.
23.
I'm 23 and give me a number of a snatch.
83 kilo snatch.
I'm 23 and I have an 83 kilo snatch. Do you think I could snatch 100?
Yeah.
Or I'm 41.
Yeah.
Do you think I could snatch 100 and I'm at 84 now?
Or I'm 6'2".
Do you know the only person that should be worried about age is someone who's 50 plus? Because that's as far as I've seen people push results with. But before that, unless you were starting weightlifting at age 8, you got to a place where you were snatching in excess of world records, and then you lost that progress for whatever reason, you're probably the only person who should be kind of wondering about age. For everyone else, you really, really, really don't need to worry about it. Age isn't your limiting factor here. It's not a major bonus if you start weightlifting at 38, but realistically, weightlifting isn't super demanding on your physicality now that you can train it.
Yeah. And
your latent genetics or apparent genetics will be sufficient regardless if you start at 20 or 15 or 35. Now, your absolute number you get there will be different, but realistically, if you're asking that question now, that number isn't.
No.
It's not it.
No. I think one of the biggest lies people tell themselves is the height and length thing, or the genetic dog shit thing that, like, you're coming back to. We'll often get the genetic, like, I don't have the genetics for weightlifting. I'm whatever length, or when I push my grip out to get a proper snatch weight grip, I don't make contact at my hips. I've never seen that really hold someone back. I've never seen someone be like, fuck it, you're really getting after that 145 kilo snatch. You can't snatch 150 because you're too tall, or you're at 80 kilos. There's no way you're going to snatch 100 kilos because you're above whatever height. Like, obviously the sport selects itself for height and for general physique, but I think every sport does, and most sports select a small bit more harshly. Like in rugby, you don't get a lot of small lads. Like, there's world-class players who are small, but they're a very, very small number. Like, the actual selection criteria, talent ID for rugby, is height and weight. Like, that's what it is. I don't think weightlifting is as severe as a lot of people make it out to be.
The funny thing about weightlifting is that the programming, like we talked about the last time, was that the programming you can doing can be spinning your wheels in such a wrong direction. But the funnier part of that is that good weightlifting program actually isn't very complicated. So it's almost something like cosmic joke where you've been doing training.
Some sort of sick joke.
It's some kind of sick joke where you've been training really hard for 2 years, and you definitely have been showing up and putting an effort by all accounts. And you must assume then that good weightlifting programming is something very unique, is something very, very different. But the irony of that situation is that good weightlifting programming is actually relatively simple. Funny, I suppose a lot of people don't understand it very well, but that doesn't mean it's not that simple. If you compare it to other complex behaviors or other complex sciences, for example, it's so funny that it's kind of tragic. It's like, oh, I've been training so hard. Now what do I go do? And if you just change those programs just a little bit with some minor changes, you'd be so surprised how much more you progress from there. You know, the programming, figuring out more about programming for weightlifting isn't really an issue. It's other variables then come into play. Once you have the right programming down, it comes into obviously genetics, it comes into time available for training, you know, your outside stressors, if other things are taking your
100%.
energy,
What your lifestyle is like.
What you did before you started weightlifting, nutrition, all those things come into play. And, you know, the programming, complexity of programming isn't really one of them. And I know that might be downselling our job a bit, but it's actually, it's not really the, it's not the thing that's
the secret sauce.
No.
Like the secret
sauce. It's not as odd as the secret sauce, really.
The secret sauce is also known and isn't that much of a secret. But that is something that we, like, I think sometimes we might talk about how much things have changed a bit too much, you know, being like 10 years ago, there was none of this. But 10 years ago, there literally was none of that easily available stuff. Like, I remember going on to, this is longer than 10 years ago now, but getting a Brumbies rugby off-season PDF sent to me in an email by someone when I was like 17 or 18, still in school. And that was paradigm shifting in terms of having that information available to me.
What was in
it? Power cleans, RDLs, bench press. That was it. Like, incredibly simple.
Jesus.
Same thing that's in every other book ever. But that was like, getting that kind of information for me opened a whole other world up to the point where, oh, this is how you should structure training and this is what sessions should look like in it. You're not looking for a workout, you're looking for X, Y, and Z to be hit in certain sessions. But I think now you can readily available, or there's programs out there readily available that will immediately get you somewhere. Like, it's the version of before you might have needed to know the 8 towns you drive through to get from here to Newcastle West. Whereas now you just type it into Google Maps. Now you just say, I want this snatch, I want this back squat. This is how I get there.
Yeah, just go on Sika Strength app, like.
Sika Strength app. But it is that simple. There is no more fucking contacting this person and emailing that guy's cousin who was in Australia who played rugby there, who knew that guy who was the S&C coach at the Brumbies, and then you get it sent over. Like, it is, now it's just all there.
The further the cosmic joke is that weightlifting being very hard to train and quite simple to progress. The other side of things, then if you take something like rugby, obviously the training is still hard for rugby. Games are harder than the competition of weightlifting, for example, but training for rugby isn't that hard. It might be physically, the sensations might be uncomfortable, but progressing is actually, it's quite simple in terms of the physiological demands. But then the programming then on those side of things, for whatever irony there, is a little bit more complicated. And it's not as easy for those athletes to figure out. It takes a lot more planning, takes a lot more complexity. You know, we do consultations with athletes from all different sports, you know, all the way from track and field to rugby players to jiu-jitsu athletes, and there's actually a lot more thought goes into that.
I think complexity is the right word there. There's more moving targets around the place. In weightlifting, we've snatch and clean and jerk.
Yeah.
Do you have the strength to do it? Do you have the speed to do it? And what's your technique look like? And then everything else kind of molds around that. Whereas you get, like, we'll see it all the time in consultations, you'll get somebody, they've been a rugby player, they're 19 years, I don't want to pick a specific case, but they're 19 years old. They have 5 things they need to sort out within the next year. And then if they sort those 5 things out in the next year and they get to go a good level of senior rugby, they have 4 more things they need to sort out in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
And like those, it is so much more complex than what we've to do in the sport of weightlifting.
Like I had a bobslayer / skeleton athlete going for tryouts, and the numbers were big for those particular demands. They had like developmental demands and elite demands, and basically made the decision over a year ago, just about a year ago. Another person who actually gave up weightlifting and was actually a good weightlifter that had very good talent.
It is an absolute horse now.
He's a horse now, massive progress. But the complexity of his training, so we had to start a year out, we had to build a load of strength, but he hadn't done any safe sprinting, for example, in quite a few years. He didn't have any aerobic base, he had no plyometric base because he hadn't done any weightlifting. He needed more weight on his power clean. So there's all these things where we're trying to concurrently progress some of those things, but also periodize a lot of that training, where we're like, we're going to push the strength as far as we can for as long as we can before we have to make the switch to that kind of power and speed phase for the maybe 3-4 months beforehand. You know, it's not like we'd a destination of 4 years where we're like, okay, we're going to go in 4 years, you're 18 now, we're going to go when you're 22 or whatever, and we're going to just build a lot of strength for now, and we're going to concurrently practice sprinting, and it's going to build up nicely because you're a younger athlete. Like, this is an athlete who was working in ER as a doctor, working like multiple 24-hour shifts, and we're trying to balance all those things. Whereas when it comes to weightlifting, it's like, okay, can we add 3 kilos to your doubles this week? And for the funny thing about weightlifting is that there's no other way of getting better. The path is there, you know. Now, I know that might sound kind of, I was thinking about saying that, and I was like, can I say that online without it sound really hubristic? But unfortunately, I think it's not only something we've seen, but we've been to, I don't know how many countries.
Yeah.
Germany, Romania, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Japan, Qatar, UK. I'm sure we're forgetting other countries.
Yeah.
It's all largely similar. There's going to be no real manifestations and complexity of programming for weightlifting unless extreme genetic individualities become apparent from broad-scale testing and someone can coordinate that, which might be a possibility. But by and large, the template for how you get better weightlifting is pretty simple. We've put up loads of lectures online. We'll continue to do so because it might seem obvious to us, but maybe not to other people looking at it. But weightlifting won't change that much. It still have to do the same things, you know. And it'd be nice if there was a secret system that an amateur athlete could adhere to. They're like, I know this is what the elite athletes do and what other people have gotten to do there, but we can do this different thing, and then you can definitely get better weightlifting that way. But unfortunately, it's just not. And
I actually think
it's the nozzle hug.
No. So everything here is perception, and like you use the thing of like unfortunately or whatever, but it's not unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like how I picture that in my head is like when I got Hilux online. There is every single job you ever have to do to Hilux, and there's 15 people have made videos about it.
Yeah.
Versus like I did Dacia before that, nothing up there. Like you have to change something in the Dacia, nothing there. More information and the simplicity of that information is definitely the way forward. And like obviously we all want like some sort of fix where it's talk to this guy, do a consultation here, do whatever, and you'll get that extra secret sauce. Go to the weightlifting camp, whatever it is. But there really isn't. Like that doesn't exist.
Oh, that actually reminds us, we're doing a weekend camp with Anton Plesnoy, Gabriel, in the end of November. So it's like the 30th. I'm going to check the dates exactly.
So it's last weekend in November, first weekend in December.
Let's get exact dates just before we go any further.
It's 30th November, 1st of December, I think.
So I think a lot of the tickets are actually kind of sold already. Now, we've actually got a secret for you guys that's not on that one. We're going to be doing a squat clinic on the Saturday. So the dates are Saturday, 30th November, and then the December the 1st is a 2-day seminar. What's going to be happening is we're going to be hosting Gabriel and Anton as a seminar. So we didn't want to try and come in and get all of us doing a seminar. Obviously, Gabriel's done some seminars and camps before, and Anton, both great coaches, fantastic. But, you know, I think we've done 50 or more seminars or something, and we try not even do too many seminars. So what we're going to be doing is like hosting Gabriel and Anton. Obviously, they're going to have their criteria written out, and we're just going to be assisting them on the day, taking them through the system, there for some translation. Both have very good English, of course, but we're just going to be kind of facilitating them throughout their day. They're not babies, obviously, but we're just being kind of there to guide things through, things flowing, and help with stuff and be assistant coaches. But on the Saturday night, what we're going to do is a 2-hour squat clinic. And this is going to be, I'm going to do a heavy squat. I'm going to try and get Anton and Gabriel to a squat with me, but we'll see. I'm not sure what their squatting is going to be like, but I'll try and rope them in. And then we'll do a squat clinic. So you can buy separate tickets for this. It's going to be £50. So
I think around £50, yeah.
Well, you'll see specifically on the Eventbrite. So we're just going to do some squatting. Then we'll run through theory of squatting programming, and then we'll get you guys squatting and looking at it. It's going to take about 2.5 hours. It's going to be in London. Sorry, we didn't say that. CrossFit Epsom, or Ascension Training, south of London, Epsom. They call it not London. It's London
it's
to us.
Definitely London,
it's definitely the greater London area.
Yeah. So what to give you like some background on it, obviously a lot of you will have seen Sika Strength Back Squat Masterclass. And what this is it's a further refined version of that. Bit of more stuff added in, few things tweaked and changed. It'll be some of the similar programming aspects that are in there, and then as Owen said, we'll get you guys squatting and we'll have a look and see and get the best high bar back squats we can possibly get out of people. I'm going to call this video a big secret announcement. Oh, yeah.
So do you want to do the light topic next?
Yeah.
What have you got?
I have a light topic as well.
What's your light topic?
I have a funny story from this morning.
Right, go on.
So I was buying steel this morning, and inside the steel yard there's like 4 different yards or 4 different warehouses. So boxes in one place, flat bars in another place or whatever, and then there's one area where you can cut your steel so it'll fit in the trailer or whatever. So I bring the box iron from whatever warehouse over to the cutting area, and I'm going into the other place, and next thing I see like this mop of hair, but I thought it was like a wild animal in behind a load of steel.
So you got out your 1.7?
No. I wish I had. But so that there's a guy like squatted down who's made like a little couch area for himself in the cutting area.
Okay.
So there's like stacks of steel, like H-irons stood up around the place.
Right.
And he's just kind of like waddled in there with a load of cardboard and stuff.
Right.
So I just dropped the box iron off and kind of got out of there. I didn't want to be like, just left it there. I had to go and get other stuff and hope that he'd move off.
Wait, sorry.
By the time I came back with the other steel, right?
Was he not an employee?
He was an employee.
Oh, okay.
So then I'm standing outside in the warehouse waiting for the flat bar to come.
Yeah.
Nobody's there.
Okay.
I'm like, what the fuck? So then I walk back out. It's like 10 minutes now of like a massive warehouse. I'm walking around. Could clearly see from one side to the other that there was nobody inside there. Walked back out. I was like, fuck it, I'll just cut the box iron and maybe that guy will be after coming back from a cigarette break or whatever. Go back out to the cutting area. As I start cutting, the guy obviously gets up because he's annoyed that I'm now making noise. He's just like smoking fags and on his phone.
Yeah.
He kind of stumbles back off into the warehouse. I finish cutting it, walk back into the warehouse, and it's the guy who's supposed to be fucking working there.
No way.
Yeah.
Did he say
It's
anything?
like 20 or 20 past 9 in the morning. Like he's just come into work.
Was he drunk?
Mate, he didn't say anything. I just handed him the docket. I was like 50 by 4 mil or whatever, or 50 by 3 mil.
Yeah.
Grunt or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
Could have slept there, like.
That is unusual.
It was bizarre.
I actually want to continue the heavy topic because I thought of something there for a minute.
Right.
You know Ross Edgley?
Yes.
We're
big fan.
We're big fans.
We're big fans, yeah.
He did a 510 kilometer swim non-stop over the course of 3 days. Was it 72 hours? 50? No, was it 50 something hours?
50 something hours, I think.
It's like 2.5-ish days.
Yeah. Absurd.
Yukon non-stop swimming in the water. Didn't leave the water. Didn't stop swimming for that length of time. It worked out to be 510 kilometers down the Canadian wilds. And he's really saying he uses a lot. And he's like, the question is so often irrelevant when the answer is always hard work or something to that gist. And so just to finish off on the heavy point, it's not that you shouldn't train harder. It's you should train harder and smarter. Not training harder is never the answer, really. It's just training harder and smarter.
Well, you have to train hard no matter what.
Yeah, sustainably training hard.
It's just in what direction you train hard.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate when I see people training really hard in the wrong direction. And I'm like, darling, baby, you could be so much better if you trained this hard in a different direction. But my light topic is related to steel as well.
Right.
I'm a full stainless steel pan convert. Cast iron
you got a
gone.
stainless steel pan.
Ceramic gone. Cast iron non-stick
Christ.
gone. All of them gone. Stainless steel.
Full stainless.
Stainless steel is the best. It's
What
way
kind
better.
What kind of money are we talking?
I went like €50.
Oh yeah.
So not bad.
Not bad.
You can go more if you want.
You can go more. Yeah.
I just wanted to test the waters, right? Obviously, I've been peripherally aware that professional
You're big in the frying pan world, like.
professional cooking athletes, chefs,
Yeah.
always use stainless steel.
Like you're not dipping your toe into the water of the frying pan world.
Look-
You've been in the frying pan world for a few years now.
Yeah, I've been blatantly ignoring the fact that everyone was wearing Ram 2s and I was
Yeah.
wearing Dewins,
Yeah.
and now I've noticed why everyone was wearing Ram 2s. I've just bought a pair of Dewins, and now I realize it's so much better for everything.
Everything.
Everything else is wrong. Stainless steel is why all the professionals use it. It's unbelievable. Every dish I've made so far is fucking amazing.
Right. I have a couple of questions.
Go on.
So the big thing with the stainless steel is it has to be ripping hot.
Not
For
that
it to
hot.
be non-stick.
Not
no,
that.
but anyway.
Yeah,
right.
go on. Yeah.
So my worry is.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of a bolognese
Yeah.
or like something along those lines, or
Yes.
like chili con carne or something.
Yeah.
So I put in my aromatics, my onions and garlic. Then I brown my meat in there.
Yeah.
When I start adding sauce and stuff, am I losing the non-stick?
No.
Am I getting some?
No, if you stay active with it, you do have to be involved a bit.
Okay, that's not a bad thing.
But some of the stuff is really interesting. Is fat doesn't dissipate as fast, so you don't lose the fat as much. So you can use a little bit less fat if you want in oil. So
Yeah.
But the problem is, that if you use too much, it doesn't go anywhere. You know, if you're using a high carbon steel pan, if you're using cast iron, you burn off a lot of that fat. For some reason, with the stainless steel, I'm not sure what the mechanism is, but if you go over fat it, if you're using butter,
Over lubricate,
ghee, oil, a lot of it will remain there. So you do have to be really careful with that. But if you do get sticking because you've reduced the heat, you can bring the heat back up again, and then it will unstick. It's magic.
No, surely it burns.
No, well, if you've burned it, you've burned it. But
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
go as far as burning it,
Okay.
like I made the silkiest, smoothest scrambled eggs.
You did
the
not.
first dish just to see.
To be honest,
Yeah.
scrambled egg is exactly how I test a pan.
Scrambled eggs. It's stainless steel. Everything else is dirt.
Fuck off.
Yeah, 100%. There's a reason they're all using Ram 2s, and I wasn't.
What kind of size did you go for? Standard.
Standard. I went with a pot with a lid because I was like, look, at a minimum,
Okay, yeah.
I'll be able to stew.
I like
it.
that, a little, like a shallow pot.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
about, I'd say, 2.5 inches.
Ah, nice. You do a lot of damage at 2.5.
Yeah, allegedly. So
That's incredibly exciting.
I think I won't use another pan ever.
We're going for induction hob in the new place.
Highly recommend it.
But can we get a
The parents bought a brand new one recently in its class.
stainless steel induction hob? Or like
You can get
a
stainless steel. Oh,
you
yeah.
can, yeah.
Yeah, you can get any
Okay.
kind of pan you want for stainless steel. You don't see a lot of good cast iron ones that are induction.
No.
But cast iron is bullshit anyway now.
No way.
It's stupid.
You were a big cast iron proponent.
I've had
You've been
what's that cast iron brand? That's a really expensive one.
Easton.
Starts at S or something. Well, I have a skillet that was like €150.
You do not.
It's bullshit. I don't even care.
That's
about it.
madness.
It's fuck
What
that.
about
Fuck
will
that.
your dietary iron levels reduce now that you're not using a cast iron?
The ferritin? Do you know high iron levels is like TNT to your cells. It just explodes them. It's very bad for you.
Oh, I'm aware. Do you not remember what my iron levels were at Christmas?
Yeah. When did you ever get to the bottom of that?
No.
Was the needles kept breaking off in your ass? Was it?
I had 20 pints of Guinness 2 days beforehand.
I think that might have been it. They added iron to Guinness because it became vegan, so they had to fortify with iron. I believe.
No way.
I believe. Yeah.
I believe. Don't quote me on that.
You know, they didn't tell anyone Guinness was vegan.
Yeah.
Because they thought people would be weird about it.
Yeah, people would be weird about it. I'd be weird about it.
That's weird. Like,
If somebody made Murphy's vegan
yeah,
and were advertising it as it, I don't know
you might change your ways.
how I would feel about that. And when I say I don't know, I mean I wouldn't be too happy with it.
On the subject of needles breaking off, I've been getting dry needling on my elbow. So people have been, I assume, aware of the elbow chronicles. The what the fuck is wrong with my elbow?
Elbow gate.
The elbow gate, elbow no gate extension. So I've been having extension issues with the elbow, probably from jiu-jitsu and lack of weightlifting. So last year I basically did no weightlifting. Actually, for about 18 months, more, 20 odd months, I probably did no weightlifting. Just squatting and jiu-jitsu. Squat. A little bit of cleans, but that really fucked up my elbows, actually.
That really got it, yeah.
I was doing the behind the neck jerks before I went to Japan. I got back to my 170 after like 6 or 7 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck yeah. And then my elbows were like, fuck no. So I had to, obviously, once I was like, look, let me finish the squat. Finish the fucking thing, and then I'll figure out what's wrong with my elbows. It's taken longer than I thought it would, but I've been seeing a therapist seen on the video before, Kevin Prunty, KP Therapy. Unbelievable. He's actually a 2-hour... The Prunzmeister.
Yeah.
He's a 2-hour round trip from me from home. And actually, I went straight from there to the office, so it took like an hour. I'll actually be Google Maps, so I won't say how much. But anyway, it'll be cool. So he doesn't really like dry needling. He's a manual hands-on therapist. He's actually a neuromuscular therapist as he's like trade, but he's done a lot of other therapies and degrees and masters and stuff, and he tutors and things, and he actually tutors dry needling, but he doesn't love using it. He feels it's not as good as other
what
therapies.
That is, it's like a fella might have a nail gun or something in the thing and be like, no, I'm gonna hammer these in by hand.
Look, he definitely has reasons.
Oh, absolutely.
Beyond our comprehension.
He also has magic in his fingertips,
magic,
which means he just needs to get that magic out.
To give him his dues, he has reasons far beyond our comprehension of manual therapy. It's not our expertise. There's a reason we don't help people injury questions. But he kept threatening to just needle it. And then one day I said, all right, let's needle it, so let's just try it. Mm-hmm. And annoyingly it made a massive difference really quickly. But it's been a really interesting process. So needling before I thought was actually kind of stupid. I'd got needling on other things before, never worked.
Yeah.
I hated the sensation of the needles. Obviously I love using needles for everything else, like heroin, for example, steroids, all that. That I love that kind of stuff. But for actual injuries, I've had it on my neck, calf, traps, load of things.
Yeah.
And I've been like, I think it made it worse sometimes because I hated the sensation of needling so much.
Yeah, you had some...
that pulse, that like electric shock you get? Hated that. So I was like, fuck it, let's try it for the elbow. It surely can't make it worse. We've done... So the first kneeling session, there was a couple in my bicep that were the strangest sensations I have ever experienced.
Yeah.
In my body.
Yeah.
Like they were... So what it feels like if you haven't got needling done before is... The way it was explained to me is you're looking for... the taut muscle band, and then you're looking for a nodule on that, and then you needle it. So it's obviously 1/3 of a millimeter or whatever with the needle is. And then for me, it feels like someone's grabbing a nerve and squeezing it and then letting it go. How's it feel for you when you hit a nodule?
I don't get the letting it go part.
You just get constant.
I get that like twitching.
I don't get too much twitching. Mine is really like...
I've gotten it done on my quad. When I tore my quad the first time, I got a lot of it done. And I'm not sure it was being done fully right.
I could easily see that happening.
Because the muscle tear was like a dip in the muscle,
Okay.
And how it was briefly explained to me is that the scar tissue around the edge, I was like 18 or 19, I was like just fucking
full of piss and
get
vinegar.
it back,
Yeah.
And just like kind of jabbing needles in around that and around the length of my IT band.
Oh.
But my IT band was getting incredibly irritated by it. Mm-hmm. To the point where like up high in my hip I was getting really bad cramping and stuff.
Oh.
So I haven't got it done since then, but I just remember that kind of...
Yeah, so I get a little bit twitching. I think most people get twitching, but I get a really strong, like, I suppose, electric shock feeling.
Okay.
And the one in my bicep, one of them was just like, the whole bicep was just like...
No way.
I could feel it like spreading out. Very strange. But the set point of extension is kind of improving each week. But there's a lot of work to be done to it.
Yeah.
So it's been like that for long. See, I left it go too long was the problem. I should have addressed it sooner when I noticed it. But because I wasn't doing weightlifting at the time, I was like, it's a little bit...
It's funny, when you don't need that range, you just don't pay any attention to it.
Like the tricep tendon at the insertion by the elbow was very sore squatting and doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, but obviously I just ignored it because, not a bitch. Like,
you're a winner.
Not a loser.
Daddy didn't raise no loser.
I was like, this isn't inhibitory to what I'm doing now, although a painful isn't a big deal, so I'm just not going to make the mental effort. There was a lot of other stuff going on, so do I regret it? No. Should I have done better? Yeah, but sure, look, here we are now.
Absolutely. What's the crack for the weekend?
I don't know really. Oh, no, I don't know really. I think I'm meeting tomorrow. Benching.
Benching.
Yeah.
I was going to buy the steel to make my reverse hyper today, but then I said I should really bring the camera with me and do a little buildy vlog,
You can have the GoPro.
I'll
bring the Sony.
Get all that involved.
Are you going to do it this weekend?
No, because I went steel shopping this morning. You can't go steel shopping 2 days in a row, and the steel yard's closed on Saturdays.
Wait, did you not buy that steel for the reverse
No,
hyper?
that steel is for the gate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did I send you that screenshot of that thing that is like a reverse hyper glute ham raise
The
45
free
degree?
Gatly thing.
Is
The
that what
thing
it
that
is?
I was trying to get
Wait.
Paddy to buy.
Don't advertise.
Sorry.
Don't freely advertise.
I
anymore.
really want one though.
How much is it?
Please send me one. I think around $1,000.
It's so versatile. It has to be shit.
It has to be shit, but I really want one.
It's like a skillet. You know, you get a frying pan, which is to bring it back to frying pans. There's like a skillet in one half, and then there's like a frying pan in the other half. It has to be shit. That's shit. Like, so this has to be shit too.
But I really want one.
It's like a barbell that flex into an easy curl barbell.
My big issue with that is that, or my concern with that, is that mine's obviously going to be in the shed, and like any of those moving parts, are just likely to seize. You know.
What do I want it? What do I even want it for?
You want it for like Nordics and
I'm not going to do
GHDs.
Nordics. They're way too hard.
Nordics, GHDs, and reverse hypers.
I can snatch,
fucking
pull,
sick
and
would
squat
that
whatever
be?
I want without hamstrings. I'll have you know.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Weightlifting completely neglects the hamstring in every possible way.
Certainly my hamstring. I'm a pull guy now. I get hyped for pulls. I put on like music for pulls.
No.
I get excited for pulls. I like try and move more weight.
I'm just rubbing off on you so much.
I'm a pull guy now.
Do you know what I
Pulls
wish?
are cool.
Do you
Squats
know
are
what
stupid.
I wish I had done? Do you know what I used to just do deadlifts all the time?
Steroids. Go on in here.
Deadlifts, particularly really high hip stiff legged deadlifts.
You sure did.
I just went through years of just doing that all the time. Why didn't I squat?
I thought you did kind of squat a little bit, did you? Would you have squatted every week?
Oh, I squatted every day. It really hurt my knees, like.
But you
And
just
then
seem to-
I did squats every week, like twice a week, every week. But I just never. I'd fucking get after deadlifts 3 times a week, like.
Yeah.
And I used to rip into them, like.
Well, you know what? You didn't even actually need to squat then. If you just gotten better at squatting while you were weightlifting.
Yes.
Because you had an uncanny ability to pull on heavy barbells, you know, even when you weren't in great shape because you'd done so much pulling.
Yeah.
Probably one of my
Standing
big
them up was the
issue.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, while your pulling strength was great, your technique did sometimes.
Yeah. Leave a bit to be desired.
But I think it's one of my biggest issues was I didn't do pulling consistently enough. So it's definitely something I'm working on now. We were joking, and I was like, Anton, how often do you have to do pulls? And he was like, every time you snatch. And I was like, are you sure? Every time? Every time I snatch?
No, every time I do snatch session 1.
On Wednesdays. I don't snatch on Wednesdays.
One thing I'm very glad, when I was doing weightlifting, I'm very glad that I used just to defined blocks. And I was never just tipping away at training.
Kind of periodized blocks?
Yeah. I did that always. And then I gave up because someone made me do a powerlifting competition, and here we are.
Well, your wrist was fucked anyway.
My wrist was fucked, yeah. My wrist is still fucked. Do you know when I was talking about not needing that range of motion so you never fix it?
Yeah.
That's been gone for 5 years, like.
But the surgery might not even work is the thing, is it? Or no, they will work.
It would definitely work.
Would you get it done? You probably should get it done for future worries. What if you have a big tear, a big horn in you for weightlifting and you never know, like in 5 years' time?
Maybe.
Probably not.
The bone will still be there to be shaved off, though.
You think you'll get it done at some point, though?
I'd say so. It's quite a low impact operation, I think. They just grind the bone down.
Did you get the x-ray?
No.
No. What did the consultant say?
Get an MRI. And I didn't get the MRI.
Yeah. Healthcare system's a bit weird in Ireland, isn't it?
They were supposed to ring me to make the MRI appointment, and they just never...
Same happened to me.
Like...
Yeah.
How is that? How is that the way? How do you pay 200 and something euro for a 15-minute consultation?
Yeah.
And then nobody rings you to follow up for the MRI?
Well, people pay us that much money for consultations and we don't follow up with them.
But I'm not sending anyone for an MRI. Like.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah. Same thing happened to me. So basically what happened was I got my x-ray. They were like, you're going to get a contact from the specialist unit.
Yeah.
But then I should have known something was fucking up when she said, but if they don't hear from them, you ring them, okay?
Oh, my God.
So I was like, I'm obviously going to have to ring someone because I'm not going to get called.
Yeah.
Rang them. This fucking, what sounded like a teenager on his summer holiday filling in for his mom while she went out for lunch, was like, look, I'm not ragging on doctors here before anything. I'm just ragging on the system we have with Ireland.
I love doctors. I think doctors are the best thing we... Doctors and Big Pharma are the best thing we have in this world.
So she goes...
I'm 100% serious about that.
So he goes, oh yeah, the woman who does that isn't back. Bear in mind, you can only ring for a 2-hour window every day, Monday to Thursday for some reason. and you can only ring through this window. And he was like, yeah. And I rang in the middle of the window, assuming law of averages surely will get me right here. And she was like, yeah, she's not back at her desk yet. So I said she took a long lunch or something and hadn't come back yet. We'll call you back tomorrow. Did I get a call back? No. So I wait for a call back, didn't get a call back. Called them back 2 days later. They're like, yeah, we didn't get anything. I was like, okay. They're like, you'll have to talk to them. I was like, of course, yeah, absolutely. That's what should be happening there. I'll have to contact them myself, yeah.
No, obviously you'd have to do that.
Yeah, of course, because they didn't do their job. I'll have to go contact them. So I just didn't bother. I didn't get the MRI. The foot's mostly okay now. There's only a little bit of pain when I walk.
It's just the slammy, catchy snatches are going to catch it, isn't it? And jerks.
No, walking's the only thing that hurts.
Really?
Snatches are fine.
Yeah.
Jerks are fine. I don't do any
jerks. You need to get back in walking shape for when you want to start shooting deer again.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. No, it's getting there. I can't...
So if you wore a pretty rigid hiking boot, I bet you'd be grand for shooting. No,
it's like... So, it was the arch of my foot, the fascia, the plantar fascia there. So that's all that's down there, is that kind of ligament. And then the tendons on top are very inflamed, you know. So normally what happens with broken foot is they actually take a very long time to heal. Footsies, little feetsy poos. They take a long time to heal. And the bones healed really quickly. And the soft tissue just takes a lot longer. So the arch used to be sore on the top of my foot when I walk. I've done a lot of excruciating soft tissue work on my arch. It felt like bubble wrap.
Oh God!
But that's much better now. It's the top of the foot, but there's obviously very little soft tissue there, so it's much harder to get at. So it's slowly getting there. But if it needs must or whatever.
For anyone going through the woes of the underneath of your foot being injured in some way, my number one piece of advice, obviously go to a doctor and sort all that out, but get an ice cream tub or like a lunchbox and fill it with water and get a big rectangular block of ice and put it on a towel on the ground and grind over the top of the block of ice as if you're doing like foam rolling or myofascial release with the block of ice.
No.
Very good.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the doctor hate thing doctors get currently is...
It's bizarre.
It is interesting.
Like, obviously, the system in many countries isn't great.
Yeah.
Like, as you've experienced.
Yeah.
As I've experienced. But doctors, the institution of somebody who's incredibly well educated at making you better when you're very sick is very important.
The idea of a doctor is very important.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate just that the system most places have set up currently is an issue. My thing though, and maybe this is only because it's the way the system is, I think it's self-care first. Like, you have to look out for number one.
But you have to look out for number one anyway.
Yeah, but
if you get a cut in your hand and you let that cut fester and get infected, and then you arrive in 2 weeks later and they have to scrub it out or whatever, and then you're like, oh, the fucking doctors couldn't get my arm right. That's your fault. Like,
but a lot of taxpayer money, especially in this country,
definitely
goes to these institutions. They're public institutions. The same way a bus should be on time, a doctor should be better, you know, a system should be better. They get more than enough money.
I think the system should be better.
Yeah.
Where I would direct all my hate is at middle management and administrative structures within public health systems.
So there was a think tank a couple of years ago, well before COVID, done on the Irish system, and they made a lot of recommendations. And one of the recommendations was, I think, they said there's enough money in the system. It's just purely disputed and poorly organised.
Yeah.
So they're just pumping a fucking dead cow full of more money, which isn't working. Like, every doctor you meet, a nurse is just really tired and they're overworked. So I wouldn't blame any individual, and an absolute kudos for people going down that route.
100%.
Ambulance drivers and stuff like that. But definitely things need to be changed. We're not going to change it.
God, no.
We're kind of frontline kind of medical people.
We barely do what we're doing.
We're kind of like basically doctors too, you know. I was a third the way to being a doctor, you know. Next to 3 years. Next to 3 years. So like basically a doctor. It's kind of a contentious thing now to be a doctor, isn't it? It's a little bit like since the times gone by, the bad times.
The pandemic?
Whoa, don't say that. Don't say that.
Joe, you just hold certain views in your head. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, a doctor is just a slightly better version of a person than everyone else.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
No, I didn't say it's true.
Okay.
I said in my mind.
Yeah.
It's like doctors, rocket scientists, and fire engine men.
But I suppose you have to understand that they're just fallible humans,
100%.
In the same way that every single weightlifting coach isn't a good weightlifting coach, it can't be true that every doctor you meet is a good doctor.
Absolutely, yeah.
It just cannot be the case.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
No.
But then, yeah, it's like they're just trying their best, I suppose. Let's not talk about that one.
No. Let's leave that off.
Yeah.
In other words,
Go on. Are we finished? What time is it?
are we finished?
I think we have to be finished.
Oh, we have to be finished.
Yeah.
I'll leave that till next week.
No, yeah, let's not talk about that one.
Thanks very much for watching. If you'd like to see the programs we talk about, go and check out the Sika Strength app. You can do a 7-day free trial. Download it, set it up, check out the programs, download them, set them up, delete a few of them, don't delete a few of them, have a look. If you have questions about any of those, sikastrength@gmail.com is the best place to get us. And thanks for watching.